I'm saying even if you are tired, you're hungry, you just cook pasta, you eat some sauce.
Okay, we need to get this workshop going.
Yes,
Cheese on top.
where is everybody?
It's
Let's get everybody in.
Yeah,
for a definition.
but there is mushrooms.
So,
basically,
yeah.
put mushrooms.
Don't worry about it, I only have 5 slides.
no, I'm fine. Anything you add is.
So agenda is you Klaus does the Boston president of
CBS.
CBS. You do
I do,
Boston
I
president
kind
of
of do.
Yes. And I do the, what are we actually doing here?
Yes.
And what is this for?
Yes.
And then we go into the whole brainstorming for what do we actually want to do in detail. Everybody, because that's official.
Alright, let's get people in.
This one, I'm just like.
Yes.
Maybe, aubergine, for example, and then the mushrooms.
Coffee is on.
Perfect.
Okay, we're here, we're good, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go, let's
Let's
go.
go. Where?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
Oh my God.
Out for a breath of fresh air.
You spend more time preparing the presentation than I spend
Can you
preparing.
take it noise off?
But it's fine.
It should be on, right?
No, I'm
No,
not.
it's off, yes, off.
It's on now, right?
No, hang on, wait.
What does it say?
It's off.
It says dashboard.
Pass it.
What does it say?
Dashboard.
Dashboard. Yes, maybe I touched it. Yeah, that's probably not great.
It has people wearing cameras, but no.
That's also not.
Okay.
You have to be sad, right? Okay, so.
I think this generate people, yeah.
Some very. Okay.
So your
Let's wait a second.
camera is not working. Your time and date is also completely messed up.
Oh, my time and date's messed up anyway, so.
Yeah.
Oh, we were supposed to fix that.
It didn't give me an option.
Yeah. Well, this is why we have the other
Yeah.
lock. And also, now it's locked. Why is it locked?
Yeah, didn't open really open.
No, they're not really option either, so we're post-processing that.
This is very interesting. Now it just doesn't
Start
stop.
up with the clock though.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Yeah,
It's nothing. Klaus,
Yeah.
stop behaving like a user.
Yeah. No, but seriously, now it just doesn't. It's completely stopped responding to anything.
Maybe we should pull out the
Yes, but then I'm afraid that it says, oh, I want another power, and then.
Yeah, but then you can. Awesome.
You want to be the boss chair or?
That's the
Boss chair. You want
No.
a boss chair?
You even have a cup over.
Okay. Now it's off.
Can this one be?
Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what I wanted to not happen. Okay.
In your knowledge, exactly what happens when you prepare for this, right?
I cannot possibly prepare for people not following instructions in very interesting ways. Yeah.
You know how they say software engineering? If something doesn't work, that's the fault of an engineer, you know?
Yeah.
Whenever you design a system, you know how they teach students program. You should make it idiot-proof.
Well, I will happily forward your comments to GoPro Inc.
Why do you think they asked us to test it?
If anything can go wrong, it will.
Okay, but now it's recording again. So now we just need to have a look at the clock.
That's you with those.
I just took this one.
You synchronize it?
Yes, this is good. Now we also need to synchronize Klaus.
Yes. Klaus, you look beautiful. Stop looking in the mirror.
Thank you. Okay,
We all look like psychopaths from some cyberpunk movie.
Well, while we're here, everybody can have a good time. Look at the clock. So we actually know what time it is. It
We need
is
that.
QR time.
Apparently.
Well, it's, yes.
Who is missing from the workshop?
Well, everybody counts.
10 cameras.
Is he not?
Watch yourself, man.
Oh, it's, look at your resume.
And, sorry, what?
What?
Oh,
camera, sorry.
Lauren's there.
I didn't see you.
This, that will be 5 sessions.
Okay. Let's go. 1 hour and 5 minutes late.
That's a success, man.
Castle. I wanted to book a castle, I couldn't afford it. I planned to book a castle, but they became too expensive, so next year if we get a bigger grant, we can go to a castle.
Okay.
Castle proper,
We
okay.
can have a brainstorming dissection.
There is a, or at least there was an acronym at some point.
But we can do
I
it
don't think
again.
anyone wrote it down.
Hey,
But we're in a conference called Castle, right?
No.
Yeah.
Experiment. Castle experiment.
We talk about Life Castle.
Yeah,
It's well, yeah.
Life-logging experiment.
There has to be, will be at some point an acronym for
Conference?
this.
No, conference. Conference people.
Of
will-
academic scientists who think lifelong.
Little
Experiment.
something.
Oh
no.
Oh no, hang on, it's all gone, it's all gone. Apparently, the HDMI cable connection isn't great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you need a clicker? I think I make it.
I need a table. Okay,
No,
let's just keep
but
going.
you can have
Let's
it.
work,
Yeah,
don't
take
leave
this
this for very long.
Is Castle actually registered with the trademark
Oh,
office?
I'm gonna make
No, it's not.
Kaka.
This is what you get if you use
Remove the
generative.
mirror.
Thank you.
There's a mirror here. No, remove the mirror from the wall.
This is
It's just
you
water.
actually get a lectern. So professional.
Yes, we are professional. Okay, look, let's keep going. Welcome to Castle. Live Castle. Why are we here? Leading researchers. That's you. To define the challenge, the next great challenge for working with lifelong video data. The background is there was a call from SIGMM for expressions of interest for some multimedia related activities for the community, right? And Klaus decided to put in a bid and I worked with him on it, and that bid was successful.
Yeah.
It led to this. I think there were 4 or 5 bids that were successful. We saw that at ASA Multimedia last year, or this year, a few months ago. And the bid was successful on the basis that we host a workshop to define a challenge for ACM Multimedia Conference in Dublin in 2025. That is something to do with live logs and video. That's the challenge. Right? That's why we're here. We then decided it wouldn't be great, rather than just have a workshop, we have a workshop and data gathering experiment at the same time. Hence, we end up in the end of the world, west of Ireland, where nobody else exists, and that's why we're here. Okay, that's why you're all wearing cameras. And not every camera is straight, but let's just go with that. Arising from Castle 24, i.e. this week, we'll run a new challenge at ASA Multimedia in Dublin. Yay! We will release an epic new data set for the community to use. And we will hopefully, in the course of the 1 hour or 1 hour and a half every day this week, we actually spend in a formalized workshop setting to find the next steps in video live logging research. Okay? Identify how to support the community to grow and be more impactful. That's why we're here. So there's a work element, there's a data gathering element, and there should be a fun element to this one. Make sense?
Yes.
Yay! Woo! Woo! Okay, that's what we put out here. The plan for Castle 24 today, 3rd of December. Isn't it 3rd of December?
Yes.
Of an unnamed year. We will begin workshop and data set gathering. I wrote these slides last night, Luca, very nice.
Also, on the previous slide, you said, well, next year in 2025.
It's on Fantastic 24.
Okay, we now know. Okay, we can't change it now. Castle 24. It's a 24th edition of the Castle Workshop. So we're going to gather a data set which every participant engages in realistic and safe POV lifelong embedded activities. Safe because we're not going out interacting with people. We're in a closed and a closed by environment. Rules we have to follow, which Luke will run through with you, include things like not wearing the cameras to the bathroom, stuff like that. We just don't want to know. Wednesday the 4th, Thursday the 5th of December, we continue to do what we're doing now. We'll have a large breakfast, we continue to gather the data set, and continue to have our workshops. On Friday the 5th of December, we intend to finalise the plans for a grand challenge, chart the way forward for the research community, define the next steps for this group, what comes out of this, and then finalise the data gathering, which will happen over the coming month or two, because there's quite a lot of data, quite a lot of work done on that. And then Saturday we go back home. Okay? So that's basically it. We have a social activity or two. We're going to the smoked salmon factory. It is the only activity in this area, so enjoy that.
That's good. It's the best activity that, it's like the highlight of the area.
Yeah, it's 5 kilometers away, so it's not that far. And that I believe is at 3:30 on Friday. And Friday night we have a banquet of sorts in Kyo's down the road. That's it. Okay. You want to talk now?
Of course.
And I'll jump back in again.
Thank you. Alright. Yes, so hopefully the project.
Why are we wearing the same shirt, man? When
Maybe,
you become elderly
maybe.
person, you buy this brand, then soon it becomes the same color.
Yeah, we brought my IC Marvel because we've got more people who come, we get confused on camera.
Okay, yeah, so actually we think that this data set might be usable for the live log search engine, but also maybe for the video browser showdown. That's why I will give a very short introduction what it actually is. So what is it? It's a live evaluation platform for interactive video search, which really performs large-scale video content retrieval. And we have different types of queries. I will give some examples. And we have a competitive setup because we have not only a large data set, but we have also a lot of participants. And yeah, it's going for several hours. It's also an entertaining event because it's connected to the welcome reception at the MMM conference every year. And so this is how it looks like. It started in 2012 in Klagenfurt, and then we went every year to different places at the MMM conference. And what you can see here on the right, this is the last iteration in 2024. And next year, we will continue this in January with 16 teams actually. And here we can also see that a lot of different teams from all around the world have participated in this competition. There are some very strong teams. One of them, of course, is from the University of Basel, one from the Charles University in Prague, and another one from Pisa. Yeah, and a few more, of course. There are so many teams that I cannot mention them all. And the query types, we have known item search, where you know what you are looking for visually, also textually, the second one. So that would be a visual example. And teams need to find this as fast as possible, and only see this small clip. And the textual one would be a description like, a girl and a man run up a small hill. There is a flagpole with a Canadian flag on top. There are white, green benches, a lamp post and stairs up the hill. The flagpole is on top of a stone structure with a cannon. I think this was a very challenging task actually. I could hardly imagine how it looked like. Yeah, and that would be the scene. Right. So we were going to see the flagpole, the Canadian flag. Right. Okay. Then we have visual question answering. Somehow I did not have enough time. But we had question answering like this. How many nights do we see passing in the video until this segment? I think this is very interesting because you also need the video playback functionality and quickly go over the video. And of course you need to understand that the darkness outside could be an indication of how many nights you see in the video. And we have
Too much music.
Okay.
You got mute it.
But
Perfect.
if the license of the data set is okay, then
Okay.
this should be
Yeah,
all.
I think so,
like,
yes.
Video is
Exactly.
okay.
Well, it's,
It should be,
From
yeah,
this
yeah,
should
yeah,
be.
yeah.
it should be. All of these videos are Creative Commons licensed.
Yeah.
But
We're relying on somebody else.
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Some of these people who make these videos are not entirely versed in the intricacies of licensing. So there may be slight,
lawyers?
there I'm
Look, I talked to lawyers too much.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, so this is from B3C, should be fine. And then we have ad hoc video search where we need to find as many as possible items for a specific topic. And I don't have any examples for that, but Luca mentioned the data set. Here we can see the different data sets that were used over the years. We started with only 30 videos, 38 hours. We went on to 100 hours and then ended up last year with 2,300 hours from the V3C1 and V3C2 data set. Plus we had the Marina video kit. I'm not sure if somebody of you knows how much hours are there, but I think tens.
I think it was 14, 15
14,
in the first
yeah.
slides and again as much in the second slides that were
Is that 40 or 14?
14.
Yeah, okay, so
So
we're
we're up to about 30-ish with the
Is the current one.
with the addition that
Okay.
comes in this year.
Yeah, so this is the final one here in 2025. We will have the MVK2 with this amount, and then we have the full V3C collection with overall 3,801 hours.
Yes.
And we also have the medical data set, the laparoscopic hysterectomy with 100 hours. And yeah, this I think will be a great challenge in 1 month roughly.
So we may have in 2026 a lifestyle challenge as part of this, right?
Right, exactly. So that could be another part for the VPS where we look into these videos.
And for 400 hours. 500, 600 hours of content.
Right?
Yeah, boss.
That
400 hours,
No,
right?
not
And
quite as
fixed
much.
cameras as well, right?
Yeah, sure, but it's only about, we'll go into the numbers.
Yeah.
So that would be a very nice challenge as well. And yeah, I think finally to conclude my part of the presentation, I think what we saw at the VPS is that currently all systems use state-of-the-art technologies like Clip and Blip and so on, but also there is some consistency within teams, that the same team with different users perform similarly, which is good, I think. And the user interface is very important. I think this is also a very unique aspect of the VPS. It's not only, let's say, the system behind, but a lot is by the user interface and how you provide interaction possibilities.
Actually nice to have kept the video browser term.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
because I think it's quite important.
Exactly. Right, so that's it. So thank you very much.
May I just short advertisement break in this point?
Yes.
If you think VBS is a cool thing to do and you haven't volunteered any judges from your team for 25, please let me know.
Lynn's going,
Yeah.
volunteer!
Yeah, we'll be the
But
ones
you
here.
don't need to be
Cannot
there
the
actually,
judge.
judges can be remote as well, so, but if you're there,
But
you
no,
know,
Andy.
You're going too?
We can do
Okay,
it
great.
remotely,
Yes.
but what's
Good.
on?
We'll probably.
It's actually quite convenient for European time because it's
Yeah.
afternoon, so it gets back in the morning
Not
and.
here.
Oh,
No.
Bye
We
bye.
can do it remotely.
Andy.
Andy, I will
You
do
guys
that.
talk to Andy.
You
to
could
get
be a
what
good
it-
judge.
Yeah, well, check with him and let me know.
Yes.
Yeah? Hmm?
Okay, let's keep going.
Remind me to remind Klaus to remind me.
I want to follow up with a short few slides about the LifeLock Search Challenge, motivated by Gordon Bell's work on My Life Bits. So Gordon Bell built a lifetime store and was built inside of a database. You could query it through a nice interface. We want to take this into the community as well. So over the past decade or so, we've run a number of different challenges at NTCAR in Japan, Image Clay in Europe, and the one we want to talk about today is the LSC LifeLock Search Challenge. Kind of, well, really motivated by the Video Browser Showdown Challenge, which was so successful. Hence, we're going to talk about that. In terms of growth, we started off with 6 teams in Yokohama in 2018, and most recently we had 21 participants in the most recent LifeLog Search Challenge, which took place just a couple of months ago in Phuket in Thailand. Data, anchoring everything. So, LifeLog data
A
set.
couple months ago is stretching into French territory, where you have the husband and the wife and the husband's mistress and the
It's a happy family.
yeah, exactly. 5 months ago now.
The data set we have is not quite as large as the 3,801 hour VBS data set. It is an 18-month data set from one person, anonymous person. It contains wearable camera data from fixed image sequence wearable cameras, concept detectors, stuff like that. It contains some real camera phone photographs as well, matched biometrics from monitors, heart rate sensors, etc., and watches. We did a bit of information access, but that's really problematic for privacy concerns. And then activity detection annotations as well. So those data sets become reasonably large. I think we ran to around about a million images, give or take, in these kind of data sets. I can't remember now, 780,000 or something.
Yeah.
We tend to look for images as answers as answers to queries, and they're the typical units of retrieval. So it's quite challenging, especially because you have to do anonymization. And with video data that's openly available online, you download the videos. With LifeLog data, you have all kinds of challenges related to faces and content on screens and phone content as you're using your phone, because this inevitably gets captured. So we have to come up with a process where LifeLog reviews and cleans their data. They share it with our researchers in the university. The researcher then checks to make sure that things are okay, and we resize all content to make sure text isn't necessarily legible. We then anonymize anyway the screens and the faces, and then we review it again and release the data sets. It takes quite a long time to do that, but then we, even with that, have strict access controls. If you sign up to use the LifeLog data set, you sign up to rules that says we can ask you to delete any image and you must do it, or delete the whole data set. We haven't had to do that, but that's in there. Okay, so type of queries, just as VBS has spoken about, we have known item, ad hoc, and Q&A queries. Known item queries find a particular image of an event, right, or activity that meets an information need. I'll look at an example of that. This was an example from 2 years ago. There was a man in the front row with a yellow hat on. I was on a stage in a room with a lot of people watching. I was on some sort of panel writing notes. I remember the man had a blue sweater on also. It was in France at ASA Multimedia 2018. Over the course of 3 minutes, you get more detail given to you.
19, nice.
19.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. I can't read. But that's an example of the picture that we have here. Look, ad hoc queries. Find all the examples of something important. Like find all the times I was taking medication or vitamins at home. Imagine a scenario where a physician cares about this in an elderly person living alone. You want to quantify this kind of information. Or find examples when I was wearing my yellow Happy Bee t-shirt. And it's a very nice t-shirt, actually. Finally, Q&A, most interestingly, this is what the real challenge is right now. Because we can kind of do finding content and even aggregation of finding content. Q&A, I visited a famous Korean temple with friends. Actually, some of them are here. A few years ago, what did I do immediately afterwards? We got a coffee, right? Tea. It was a tea shop. It served coffee. Oh, so you're anonymously in this data set.
And even green tea cheesecake. You know?
Oh yeah, it had matcha cheesecake. Yeah. I remember that. Actually, that is you. Different shirt, but it's you.
Cannot fit into
Another
that.
example.
So much for anonymization, but okay, sure.
It's a blurred face. It's only recognizable to people who know him really well.
Also, is he wearing his name tag?
No, he's not.
No, not on this one.
No, that's actually the cake.
Because this is from Seoul.
Okay.
This is
By the shade, you can even guess who is the second anonymized person.
Okay, so we were there. We were there. Okay.
I was there.
Next query. You were there too.
Yes.
There's at least 3 or 4 of us that were there. Okay, second one. Damn it, my car is a flat tire. What was the name of the car service repair company I used in the summer of 2019? I want to call them and get together my car fixed. This is a real kind of challenge, right? What was the name of the company we went to a number of years ago? And then even more complicated, the one that nobody got right last year. What airline did I fly most often with in 2019? Real complex aggregation queries. But that's what we're pushing for, that's what we're aiming for here. The issue with all of these data sets is that they're image sequence, 2 images a minute. We're trying to push beyond that now. And then of course this led to what we think now is a standard LifeLog search engine, right? Which really focuses on visual embeddings, multimodal embeddings as a key access mechanism. Once again, intuitive interface is really important, just as Klaus said for VBS, and a lot of the other stuff that goes inside of this. If you want to find out, there's lots more papers available at the LSC website, so you can have a look at that certainly. And then I'll just say thank you, and let's kick off the workshop.
Thank you.
Let's go! And we're going to have Luca to tell us what we're doing and how we should do it properly,
Yes,
and all the
okay.
mistakes we're making and we shouldn't do.
Okay, so I didn't have slides for this. This is more going to be a bit of a show and tell. So just to give you a bit of technical detail on how this all is actually working. I mean, you're already all wearing the cameras, but just so that you all are aware what you actually have. These are GoPro Hero 10s.
Yes.
They are equipped with a 256 gigabyte SD card, and they're set to record at Ultra HD 4K in 50 frames a second. Continuously. Gesundheit. This gives us about 8 or so hours, depending on what's actually going on, of recording capacity per camera per day. These recordings are not necessarily continuous. You can interrupt them at any time whenever you're doing something that you may not want to be on the record. You can interrupt this at any time. Again, important, just pause the recording, do not turn off the camera, because if you turn off the camera, it goes out of sync, and all the timing issues, and it might also then complain about starting up. It has some not enough power issues because it's not actually powered from the internal battery. It is powered.
Just a hint, also do not touch the touch screen.
Yes,
So that's
try
what you do, yes.
not to touch the touchscreen because it is very swipey, right? You might accidentally change the mode or something. So try to only use the top button. Also, it is blinking whenever it is recording. So I can now see, when I look at all of you, that all of your cameras are actually blinking. So all of you will recording what I'm telling you. If you happen to see somebody walking around and the camera is not blinking, do let them know, because that might not be intentional.
Do you also have a feeling of this Strange Days cyberpunk movie? You remember that one, 20-some years ago?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
I didn't see it either.
Let's come.
Okay.
It looks, we all look reasonable though, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Honestly, I thought it would be weirder.
Could be worse. Right?
Could be worse.
Could be worse. So, in order to facilitate this long form recording, you're also all wearing pouches or other types of batteries. So this is a 20 amp hour battery. It has plenty of capacity to run this camera until the SD card is full. We will recharge these every night as well. So every night, data is copied off. You get the fresh SD card in the fully charged battery bank in the morning. In addition to the cameras you're all wearing, there's some stationary cameras. There's one over there, there's one over there, and there's 2 more in this part of the house, and then 1 additional one in the other room. At least the 4 in here are set to record continuously for the entire day. So they should each record 12, 13 hours, depending on when exactly we stop for the day, to essentially anchor the activities of all the individual things. What we will do afterwards is to ideally frame level align all these videos, so they're perfectly synced in time, or at least as perfect as we can make them. We don't actually know the clock drift of these cameras, so we will have to see what level of precision is actually achievable with this, but this is going to be a post-processing problem.
Maybe
And
a good
then-
computer vision task actually for later.
yeah, there's gonna be some interesting things. So there's gonna be some pre-processing that we're doing that we will have to do.
He got an ERC for this line of time, error of time, error tasks.
Time alignment task is interesting.
Yeah, but the time alignment will probably need to happen before we actually release this.
Yeah, it will, anyway.
There's a bunch of things that, so essentially a series of tasks, right?
Yeah.
So we will generate the raw data with the sensors and with some more sensors that I'm going into in a minute. And then there's essentially multiple stages, right? There will be some processing on this that needs to happen before we release this, just in order to say, okay, this is the data set, this is all the data augmentation we already did, this is what you can work with. And then afterwards, we have two parallel streams in activities that are already set up to happen next year. One being the challenge and the other being the hackathon. And we'll go into this in a bit. But especially also the hackathon will be able to do more data augmentation. So this is also something that we will have to think about, have to set up. We can even maybe do some prototyping throughout these days, just to see what are all the processes we actually want to do with this. In order to aid with the time alignment, you have seen I went through with the notebook before. We have two clocks that are set up to be machine readable. So every time you start your recording, I would ask you to go and have a look at the clock, because that will help us figure out when exactly in time your recording was, because the wall clock time in these devices is not the greatest. It is not super precise. Even if you set it as precisely as you can, at least with the manual interface, it will be set to the minute. And with 50 frames a second, there's still a lot of frames that you might be out, right? So the machine readable clock with the QR code updates roughly 5 times a second. So this gives us a much more precise window to actually align these things.
So
in time.
ideally, we should turn on the cameras in front of the clock.
You should probably turn on the camera in front of a mirror, just to make sure that it's pointing roughly where you expect it to point.
Yes.
We have a bunch of mirrors around here. And then once you did that, go and visit the clock soonish, because then we can have an automated process that essentially always at the start of the video starts to look for the clock and then computes back when the start frame of that recording actually happened in time relative to the clock.
And all the clocks in this house, the physical real clocks, all show different times.
Yeah, so don't.
Try to connect two of them, so there's two
Yeah, so do not rely on any other clock. So the QR code clock is what we consider truth.
Winding up that one, but it's too
This one is right exactly 2 times a day. There's some clocks are
This
here
one
that
is
are.
reasonable. You must have done
Yeah, I
that.
said that one.
Yeah.
There's some clocks in
And the
here
one
that are
that you-
never right.
Yeah.
Yeah, time is difficult with this, right? What this is also recording is audio. So everything that is said here, everything that anyone can hear will be in the recording,
And that
which
means
also sets apart this data set from some of the others out there.
even if all the cameras are turned off, there's still the fixed cameras in the rooms. Right? So pretty much anywhere you go to, with the exception of upstairs, we assume, will have.
Well, actually, in
Audio
rooms
camera.
also downstairs.
No, in your room there's a camera.
That's why the door was open.
He said it for a second time, I got to check it.
No, so essentially, right, there's the individual rooms, which are supposed to be camera-free zones. Everything else out here is essentially expect to be on
Yes.
camera at any point.
Everything you say.
In time, anything you say, anything you do within the public area is
So
on
basically,
camera.
the experiment is called how to get us all fired from the university.
That is entirely
very
up to
possible,
you.
So let's not try to.
So yeah, behave yourself. So these are the main sensors. We have some other things, right? So all of you are wearing a Fitbit. This will record some very basic activity and biometric information that we will also endeavor to time align as much as we can. I'm not entirely sure what frequency and what precision we will be able to get out of these things ultimately, but this is certainly some post-processing that we'll be doing. On top of that, there will be some streaming data, so we have some other photographic cameras that we can take some pictures with, and some other sensors just to record some bits and pieces that can be used as augmentation. And then of course all the things that we will be able to extract from this data, and especially from the aggregate across different views. But when you're looking at me while I'm looking at you, this gives me ways to infer things about you that you would not be possible to infer from your stream alone, right? These sort of things.
I have one question. So what is the charging of the
They should last for the whole week.
The idea would be that these do not need to be charged throughout the week. They should last. If you notice it going low, please contact any of our helpers, and then we can have them charged. These things, so the battery packs need to be charged every night. The other things should be good to go. Ideally, we tested this, it worked in the test, but then again, we will see how it actually behaves in the setting, and we might need to adjust as we go. Okay. The whole point of this is, again, as we've already briefly mentioned, to, at least initially, use this for two upcoming activities, both of them associated with ACM Multimedia 2025, happening next fall. One of them being a more classical thing as a grand challenge, and the other thing is a more interactive, more experimental thing, and we want to have a hackathon where people interact with this data. So the grand challenge has more of a data analytics flavor to it, as in we will give people the data set as is, or as we will be able to prepare it in time.
Probably February or March, I guess.
Ideally, sometime within the first quarter of 2025.
Can you tell us what preparing means? Because you said that substantial annotation is going to happen.
Yes. So this is some of the details are also to be discussed here. What is happening, or what definitely will need to happen, is the precise time alignment of all the streams. They will be encoded in a common structure, in a common format. So you will probably have videos that are all structured in a way that, for example, all the individual video chunks are exactly 1 hour long. They always start on the hour. In case there's no recording, there's some insert that says this was camera number 5, this was the time, but there's no video data available for that segment, something like this. And they're all time aligned, so you have camera 1, hour 1, day 1, and so on and so forth, just in a collection of video files. The exact format to be determined, but something like this. So all of them are aligned. Then we're going to have to do some data augmentation, things that we already know that we would want anyway. So essentially run this through a state-of-the-art auto transcription system, and then afterwards have people look at the transcript and fix some things that the system might have gotten wrong, just to have a ground truth that is of reasonably high quality, especially since this might also be slightly multilingual. I mean, we will have the workshop activities in English, where we have people from all over. Some of them speak different languages, so they might have we might even have some conversations in different languages in the data set, which is also interesting for the whole thing, right? But just to make sure that all this annotation stuff is proper. What these things are also recording are streams of metadata. So these cameras have a 6 degrees of freedom IMU. So they will record at about 200 Hertz, which direction down is, how these things would accelerate all the time, what direction it was looking in. It has a magnetometer, it has GPS. So whenever it takes some measurements, it knows where it was in space. So this can also be used to reconstruct some trajectories or to do some other interesting things. We will try to preserve this data as much as possible throughout all the processing steps, which is going to be a bit tedious, but we will figure out how to do this properly, and probably also export it in some slightly more readable format, because the one GoPro uses is a bit of a pain. It is quite efficient in encoding, but not the most user-friendly thing in the world. So we might just dump this into something that is more easy to read and make this more accessible to people, specifically because we will have some time-aligned streams from these things as well. So we might as well have some other format to just put all of these channels in. Right, so this is, and anything else we can come up with.
What are these recording?
They are recording your heart rate. They are recording your blood oxygenation, I think.
Some basic activities.
And they're recording some step county things at the very least.
It's like an additional data set, right?
I'm not
I don't think it's doing speed properly.
sure if they do temperature. I'm not there. Well, they record a bunch of things. It's not yet entirely clear what we can actually get out of these in what format. But at least heart rate and some activity streams and possibly blood oxygenation over time should be possible. Again, they are very coarse, right? This is also something that we might want to think about for any future activities. This is a latter activity in the workshop.
It may be possible. Be careful what you do and what you say, right? As Stefan said. It may be possible for us to take something out, but let's say we have to take out what happened right now because Colin says something crazy and it's not fired. Right? We'd have to take the data out of all cameras at that point in time. So it's a big deal to do it. So we try to avoid that as much as possible.
Yeah. In that sense, also. You may want to leave your smartphones in your rooms, because if you happen to get an email that has sensitive information in the subject line, and you look at your phone and there's stuff that is this cannot be released because it might violate the privacy of some external people, that would then need to be taken out. So this is definitely
and there are 4K cameras all around you. They're quite detailed.
Yeah. So assume any text you're looking at can be read.
Yep.
So any text that you realize cannot be shared with the outside world, we need to make a note of this, and this is part of the processing that we will need to do before this goes out. That we need to cut this out.
And you don't want to go back yourself and think, oh, didn't I say something on the first morning, and then try to find it. Right? We try to avoid it as much as possible. It's a lot more work to take something out than not put it in the first place.
In short, university became boring. It stimulates boring behavior.
We just have to be super careful because what happens when a data set is released is that it just goes out there, right? It exists forever.
It used to sound like American Nightmare, like now we are living in America.
No, I mean the whole point of this is to actually release the data with as few access restrictions as we can make it, to make it as useful as possible to as many people as possible. So ideally, we would want to publicly release this thing under a Creative Commons, ideally CC BY license, and then just say, look, here's the thing, have at it, right? Yeah. And then people can use it for whatever.
Unless Google wants it, they have to pay.
sponsor upcoming activities.
We will,
At least for young people.
we'll see about the exact details of the release of this thing, right? So okay, but this is the plan, right? There's some things that we will do to it before we release it, and then there are some things that we will facilitate for other people to do to it, and to ideally also augment it for future usage after its release. That's part of the hackathon. The other thing is part of the challenge, where we give them the dataset in whatever form it will be, and we give them a bunch of tasks that we know how to evaluate the correctness of. It's probably going to involve some sort of retrieval queries, similar to what we've seen with VBS and LOC, something like that, but not in an interactive fashion, because these grand challenges are, you get the task, you work on the task, you submit the results, we will evaluate the results, and we tell you how well you did. So it will certainly involve something along these lines. It might also involve some more complex analysis tasks that are a longer form aggregation across this sort of stuff.
How many cups of coffee were drunk?
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
That kind of thing, like that kind of way of thinking.
Yeah. And then we will just need to figure out how exactly we want to phrase this, how we could possibly evaluate this, and under what procedures we expect this to happen. The interesting part is that the whole process will be somewhat self-documenting, because the whole process of setting up this challenge and defining the precise task of the challenge will be part of the data set that will be used for the challenge. Right? So people can get all the documentation they could possibly need, because they can just watch us coming up with the details.
So basically, you just give a data set and say the challenge is in the data set.
Yes.
Essentially, yes.
How we find the queries in the data.
Essentially, yes, right? Find the time we came up with this particular query.
So it's find the query in the data set
find
and
the,
then
list all the queries.
Yes.
Find all the queries, right? This is hard moments. You're not
I
gonna.
think this is really amazing also for this, I would say, it's not new. We always wanted to go fully, I would say, unsupervised with everything, and supervision can only get it there. But we have so much data now, and even overlapping streams.
Yes.
I think this is going to be super kind of interesting for self-supervised folks.
Right, yeah.
Yes, and I mean this is only the first step, right? Because this is all off-the-shelf hardware. So what is also an intent of this workshop here is to think beyond what we're currently able to do.
What's the next workshop number?
And see if we had infinite budget and infinite time, what would we want to do? And then essentially boil this down to, given that we are presumably not going to have infinite budget and infinite time, what will we be actually able to do if we plan for doing this again in a year or in 2 years?
So I think maybe even more ambitious goal would be in order, because you remember the first session at ACM Multimedia, they were talking about future and about multimedia agents and so on. I think maybe we have to even think, hey, not in terms of how do we want, actually that's what they would like us to think about. How would we like the entire field to start doing, at least in with regard to one of these lines?
That's what the hackathon conversation at AC Multimedia was about. That was that
Yes.
particular invitation workshop where the hackathon came out of.
Yeah.
That was all about the future challenges for the community.
Not only this workshop, but kind of in general. What
Yes,
we want
yes,
is,
exactly.
actually-
But all of this hinges on actually having concrete material to work with, and this is going to be one set of data, right? And this has properties that will be unique among the available data sets, because this is not going to be the first POV activity data set. There are a handful of these, and they have been studied quite a bit. But all of these have the limitation that they're either longer form activities in a very confined environment, or that they're very diverse activities in diverse environments that are completely disjointed. So you just have a few recordings of a few minutes, some person doing something, and then this is gone, and you never know what happened before or what happened after. Usually, this is also happening in public, therefore it's heavily anonymized. You're never having people.
Time to move.
Look, it's taking longer.
Yeah.
I think we need to get coffee soon.
We need to get coffee. Let's keep going.
There's gonna be coffee. We will hopefully not run out of coffee. But then again, we might also be able to do things like when did I have coffee? Predict this solely based on my heart rate, right? Things like that.
It's going to be epic.
Long ago,
Things we
it says.
can do.
Yeah, awesome, right? So again, the thing is, this will have overlap with types of data that exist. So we will also be able to take inspirations on the kind of tasks that people have been doing with other types of data that has the overlapping aspects. But this is going to have aspects that do not exist because we have many people in the same environment interacting with each other and with the environment. And we have the first person view of all of these people. So this is something that is unique, that is not currently possible to do with any of these data sets that exist. So this will allow us to do new things. And the whole point of this, and also of day one today, is to start the discussion on what all these things that we could leverage this for might be. So ideally, and what the agenda says, that we essentially threw out of the window because we started an hour late, is to today start this brainstorming, this ideation process jointly. And then when people want to discuss this throughout the day, please do. And we will have another round tomorrow morning where we essentially gather the various things people came up with and then go on from there. And we have some more discussion points on hackathon things.
The plan is about 90 minutes every morning at a workshop. That should lead to a proposal for a grand challenge at AC Multimedia and a proposal for a hackathon at AC Multimedia. And the idea of what would happen for Castle too.
Just a second, when you say hackathon based on multimedia, we don't normally have hackathons. You have different formats.
No,
Exactly, this is new. This is new.
Came out of the ACM Next Steps Multimedia workshop that we had.
And hackathon, would people start working on it before? Because some grand challenges have that form.
This is independent.
This
This
social
is
media-
two independent activities. So the format of the Grand Challenge is going to be the same as any Grand Challenge. It has a long term schedule. We will release the data set as soon as we are able. We will release the tasks as soon as we're able. People can sign up, people can download all the data they need. They can work on it, they will submit their results. We will evaluate those submissions, we will tell them how well they did. They will submit their papers
It
about.
would be really good to have a paper also ready before that.
Yes, there
We have a data set
will
paper.
need to be a data set paper.
Oh, but how are we gonna manage it before February, March?
Well, with the data set paper will need to go out as a preprint, and the final version of the data set paper then goes out with.
Potentially in a data set track of AC Multimedia.
Yes, because we are also planning to have a data set track newly created for 25. So it might go in there. It might go into the Grand Challenge track. Details to be determined. But the preprint will definitely need to go out together with the data set.
Which describes.
And also the challenge description independently of that, so people know what to do.
So for the data set track, we're gonna have to think really hard because SIGA really made it a little bit, data set track is, I think, tied with social good in whatever way, so we kind of really wanna discard random stuff.
It has to be multimedia related data sets that are released for general purpose usage, right?
Yeah. So we have to be really
We have-
careful
we have
because there are
shares
gonna be
for that.
lots of data set papers in
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean independent problem. Right? Independent of that is the hackathon. the current idea of the hackathon, and all of the details are to be determined, is that given that we're anyway having this longer schedule of the almost 2 weeks of multimedia gatherings around ACM Multimedia, is that the weekend before, in parallel to Medieval, there will be 2 days of hackathon if we can pull this off. And then the idea would be that after these 2 days, there will be a hackathon results session at the main conference. So people have the chance to work on this. They get the data beforehand, because we will have to release the data beforehand anyway. They can work on some things. We can probably have a call for project proposals or something. It's, again, details to be determined. People can work on this for 2 days and then present their results. Ideally with the goal that any data augmentation that comes out of this is then also published as a companion data set to the main thing, to be used for any future activities, however
So
they
one
might.
thing that is also good to keep in mind, this is going to be very broad data set, like with lots of streams, meaning just single camera recording can be data set by itself. So there may be kind of danger that many spin-offs are going to appear, like and then
Yes,
it
but this
becomes really kind of hard to track. that
No, but
can
this is exactly why we also need to set this up in a way to say, okay, these are all the
somebody takes just small
these are all the augmented. But I mean, there's a genealogy of data sets, right? Whenever somebody releases a big thing, then you usually find people who build on this and say, oh, I just have this curated subset that is also precisely annotated.
Right.
That doesn't introduce any new data, it just introduces new annotations, and it has some quality criteria and things like that.
Just, I meant, we have to make sure that it's properly credited, you know, like, because.
Yes, but I mean, this
that's
is
why
the usual. This is exactly. We will need to have all of this traceable. All of this is supposed to be archival, and have this.
It's going to require people to reference the source.
Yeah. So all of this. So all of this builds and essentially just grows into a resource that is as useful as possible to as large a chunk of the community as we can, right? Because it has video, it has audio, it has sensor streams, it has interaction, so it might even be useful for people outside of the core multimedia community.
You've seen Keynote in Iceland, like your colleague with the agents. Teaching actually
Yes.
agents, and he was actually making a point that we don't do it right.
Yeah, so I mean, you can do human-machine interaction studies with this. You can even do communication studies with this, in case communication scientists find something useful in here, right? I have no idea. But this is essentially, yes, exactly, right? Emergent problem solving because nobody's a trained chef, right? So we figure out things in a new kitchen. Things like that. So there's interesting challenges in this. So again, we will try to make it as useful as we can. There's also some technical challenges that we will have to overcome because this thing is going to be big, right? So this is also something that we will talk about. I hope to be able to briefly talk about some statistics tomorrow after the collection of day 1.
Right.
So we, after everything here is exhausted, whenever you're done recording, the thing will beep. It will tell you, I'm done, I'm full. You will not run out of battery, you will run out of storage capacity.
Right.
At some point in the day, hopefully reasonably late in the afternoon, you will run out of storage capacity. What you should do then is hand off the SD card to one of the helpers. They will start copying off the data and prepare this for the next day. Also, data copying is going to take a bit, right? Because we're talking about terabytes of data produced every day. And the SD card interface is not equipped for transferring terabytes of data, right? So it's going to take a while. So the sooner you can give it to them, the sooner they can start copying this off. and we can make sure that this is actually done. And ideally, we will have the data of the previous day available sometime in the first half of the next day and on some portable disks.